अब म स्पिकरहरूलाई अगाडि आमन्त्रण गर्न चाहन्छु। हाम्रो पहिलो स्पिकर हुनुहुन्छ मिस रचना थापा। कृपया अगाडि आइदिनु होला। मिस थापा इज सर्टिफाइड हस्पिटालिटी एडुकेटर। 20 वर्षभन्दा लामो अनुभव छ उहाँको र उहाँ रोटरी क्लब मिड टाउनको सेक्रेटरीका रूपमा पनि आफ्नो भूमिका निभाइरहनु भएको छ। धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु र स्वागत गर्न चाहन्छु यो सेसनमा। र अर्का स्पिकर हुनुहुन्छ डाक्टर महेन्द्र प्रसाद श्रेष्ठ, हु इज अ प्रोफेसर विथ ओभर 3 decades of experience in teaching, research and consultancy। उहाँलाई पनि म स्वागत गर्न चाहन्छु। काठमाडौँ युनिभर्सिटी स्कुल अफ म्यानेजमेन्टमा पनि उहाँ आबद्ध हुनुहुन्छ फ्याकल्टीमा बोर्डका रूपमा। र अर्का स्पिकर हुनुहुन्छ प्रोफेसर डाक्टर दिल्ली राज शर्मा। Dr. Sharma was appointed as Dean, Faculty of Management, TU, 2016 र उहाँ प्रोफेसर हुनुहुन्छ, member of various boards and chairman to various companies। उहाँलाई पनि म आमन्त्रण गर्न चाहन्छु यो सेसनमा स्पिकरका रूपमा। र अब म यस सेसनको मोडरेटरलाई आमन्त्रण गर्न चाहन्छु सबिन जोशी। Sabin Joshi is the Managing Director of RV Advisory and Adnopsis Holding र उहाँ मालपी इन्टरनेसनल कलेजका एकाडेमिक एडभाइजर पनि हुनुहुन्छ। चारैजनालाई यो सेसनमा स्वागत गर्दै अबको ध्यानाकर्षण सम्पूर्णलाई यो सेसनतर्फ गराउन चाहन्छु र यो सेसन फलदायी रहनेछ भन्ने हामी सबैको अपेक्षा रहेको छ। ओभर टु यू सबिनजी। थ्याङ्क यू।
Thank you very much. It's indeed an amazing pleasure to be here with wonderful dignitaries, with industry experts right here. I will try my level best to ensure that this gets wrapped up in 45 minutes and we have an amazing discussion session. So how we've structured is probably for the first 30-35 minutes, we're going to have a short panel discussion, and then we move into a 10 minutes question answer round. I've actually divided this into 2 rounds. First, I would give a context of what exactly the area that I would like to cover, and I'll put up a question to our respected speakers. I'll get your perspective, then depending on the kind of questions get answered, we will then carry on with those discussion. The first area that I really wanted to cover, which I think Madanji also talked about, हाम्रो स्टुडेन्ट्सहरू नेपालमा नपढेर विदेश जाँदैछ। I was asking a colleague of mine and he gave me a number, हाम्रो 51 billion rupees त यो जुलाईसम्ममा त विदेशबाट बाहिर गइसकेको छ, right? And there are various reasons why this is happening. Somebody says, I want quality education. कसैले भन्छ म करियरको लागि जाँदैछु, कसैले भन्छ म पर्मनेन्ट रेजिडेन्सीको लागि जाँदैछु, र धेरैले त होइन अब नेपाल किन बस्ने, विदेशै जाउँ. So that's the kind of a context that they're coming up with. So in this context, I just have few questions, and probably I will begin with Professor Mahendra, sir, if you could permit. So as an academic with substantial professional experience that you have had in the management education, यो जुन क्लेम छ कि यो lack of education नेपालमा भइरहेको छ, because of this स्टुडेन्ट्सहरू जाँदैछ, what's your assessment of हाम्रो current situation को चाहिँ assessment चाहिँ के छ? हजुरले एक्चुअली यसमा अलिकति भनिदिनुहुन्छ कि?
Thank you very much. At the outset, I would like to thank Madan Lamsal and the whole entire New Businesses family. I was a regular reader of Avian and New Businesses. I would like to respond to your questions based on my 30+ experience in the higher education. My focus will be just higher education, that also particularly to management. I am not the right person to tell about the planning, the policy of his government. These 35+ experiences that I was associated with several universities in Nepal and few universities abroad. There are certain hard facts, we have to accept it, and definitely that needs to be addressed. Coming back to quality now. Some people say that the students, they don't want to stay in Nepal simply because there is no quality education. I partly agree to that. Not fully, of course. We have produced Kulman Gising, considered one of the best managers of this country. We have produced so many CEOs in the banking sector, deputy CEOs in the banking sector, and HR also in banking sectors. They were all getting education in Nepal. These are some of the examples that we should not be forgetting. You are right. Lots of money is going on. That is one part of the story. The other part of the story is, that is a hard fact. How many students, those who go abroad, they come back to Nepal? The rough estimate says that not even 5% of the students, they come back to Nepal. They are lost. They get lost, and country is suffering. Quality, as a matter of fact, in my mind, is very relative. But as a teacher in the professional schools or business management, there are certain standards. And definitely there is some compromise so far the standards are concerned. My experience says that we follow all the curriculum, textbooks, reference books that is produced in United States and in Europe. Syllabus is the same. Textbooks are the same. Where we are gone wrong then? And coming back to the business schools, there are certain compromises. Why they compromise? I do not want to tell that. Your textbooks alone, your syllabus alone is not going to increase the quality of education. And most importantly, you are forgetting the quality of the faculty. See, the management philosopher these days, they have started saying, management is art, management is science. And that should be combined together to produce a best human beings. And it is also said that the management philosopher, they are saying, today, we should not be focusing on MBAs. We should be focusing on the good managers, successful managers. That is quite missing in our business schools. We are talking about global pandemic. The whole concept of management has changed. They want that the role of managers should be redefined. Managers should not be doing the same thing. Managers should not be doing everything because of the pandemic. Things have changed. But we are not changing at all. You'll be very surprised. We continue to teach the same syllabus which we used to teach 8 years back. We are in 2022. Nobody wants to change it. In one of the occasions, employers, they targeted on us and said that, what are you teaching? Your students do not know anything about it. Do you think we should be actually blamed for that? अघि भर्खरै हाम्रो लम्सालजीले भन्नुभएको थियो र 2-3 दिन अगाडिको कार्यक्रममा यही कुरा यहाँ भनिएको पनि थियो र त्यही म फेरि भन्न चाहन्छु यहाँ भनियो के त भन्दाखेरि प्रोफेसरहरूले एकदम चाहिँ स्किल ह्युमन रिसोर्स तयार गर्नु पर्यो भन्नुभयो अनि हाम्रो प्रोफेसरहरूको एसोसिएसनले के भन्नुभयो हामी कहाँ डिग्निटी छैन रिसर्चको केही अभिलाषै छैन कहाँबाट हामीले गर्ने You see the situation here. And there is so much of lag between soft and hard skills. And our students are very poor so far the soft skills are concerned. And in today's world, 80% of your work that will be done by the soft skill, not by the hard skill at all. So the dynamics also has changed. And therefore, we will have to revisit it. Syllabus is the same, textbooks is the same. There should be some sort of change so far actually the quality of faculty members are concerned. We should have to rethink once again. And therefore, if we would like to see that we also actually experience the same type of challenges that the world is facing right now. We don't know what will happen to the future, but our future managers, they cannot manage the way they are doing right now. There will be some more challenges. We don't know how long that war is going to go. We are again still experiencing the pandemic once again. People have started getting COVID now again. I was looking for the 4th shot. I'm not getting it. I don't know when the government is going to give it. So definitely there are pluses and there are minuses at the same time. But in my opinion of 30+ experiences, definitely there should be some sort of paradigm shift if we really want to actually have the good managers in this country. And therefore, that needs to be actually rethought about. And that has to go all the way from the higher education policies, the plannings, whatsoever. That is not my actual field, of course, but that needs to be addressed from the very beginning itself. on the top itself, what should be our management? Why is people, so many people, they go it? We have, after the globalization, we have several national universities here. We have American university, we have British universities, we have universities from Malaysia, we have university from Thailand. What are they doing? Have anyone tried to see what is the quality of education, though they are foreign universities? I don't know. I don't have any idea about that. Now, the second part is, there is no interface between business schools and the real business. How many of us do that part? Have we ever tried to find out what our entrepreneurs, how our businessmen, how our industrialists are looking for? What sort of skill they are looking for? I don't think we have done that much of interface between actually the business schools and the employers. That also needs to be done, and your whole design should be redesigned, rethought about. This is the biggest challenge for us. And normally, one part that comes to my mind is that somehow, after 15 or 20 years, what I have realized that is quite shocking to me, we have started forgetting that we are Nepalis. हामीसँग देश प्रेम छैन. Slowly it is going down. यस्तो देशमा पनि कहीं बस्ने हो. That pinches me very much. How can we control that? नेपालीले यस्तो देशमा पनि बस्ने हो. What are they saying? That feeling is not there at all. So that needs to be seriously taught by all the stakeholders, if at all we would like to actually produce the best human beings in this country, particularly in the field of management. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So I think very interesting perspective that we need a paradigm shift. हामी जुन सोचमा 10 वर्ष अगाडि थियौं त्यो सोचमा बस्न मिलेन. The COVID has given us a little more perspective in terms of that it's a borderless world. So we need to really shift. And the couple of things which came, we are forgetting the kinds of CEOs, the kind of managers, the kind of entrepreneurs, the kind of investors that the Nepali curriculum and Nepali universities have created in the past. And that has been an example, and few examples are here with us in this program as well. You talked about management being a combination of art and science, which I think people are realizing it and forgetting at the same time. So the sooner we understand this is important. Beyond classroom is very important. And the thing that we talked about, हजुरले जुन भन्नुभयो, MBA होइन, manager चाहियो. हामीले यहाँ MBA को स्थापना त भयो, तर manager को भयो कि भएन? I think that's something. And the whole paradigm shift requiring a skill base. भनेपछि हाम्रो hard skill त छ, but soft skill कहाँ गयो? Are we able to talk to people? Are we able to dress up well? Are we able to communicate well? So these are the few things which are important, and if these things can be worked around, maybe there will be a bigger motivation for the students to stay back. Thank you, sir, for this. I'll just move on to Rachana ji. You have a very substantial experience as an entrepreneur, as well as an educator as well. And considering so many students going abroad, as someone who owns a college and a very successful one, what are the key priorities do you feel as an educator or someone who's an entrepreneur should be focusing on to ensure that we keep the students here and they excel in Nepal itself?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for this platform. Very interesting question. And I want to start with adding to what he just said. You have to love Nepal, and you have to be proud of what you are doing. First of all, whoever the school owners, from the owners to the faculties, to anyone who's associated with the school, they have to believe that whatever they are delivering to the youth right now is, you have to appreciate it, you have to believe that, and you have to make sure that that's what the future of Nepal is. We are in this business for the past 21 years. What we are doing right now and what we feel is most important for you to retain, to give back to Nepal. You see, it's a global, world is a global village. You cannot stop anyone from exploring. Like, unlike 30 years ago, you know, there would be just one person in a village who would be going abroad to study. Now, every next person in our own family, most of them are in the US, UK, or Australia. There's opportunity, there's internet, they see the razzmatazz, and then everything that is huge, concrete, big is beautiful. We have created that society, we had created that perception. But coming back to how to retain those people in your own country is, in my understanding, solely based on quality. Invest in your faculty. Invest in your curriculum. Go back and revisit. Just like, you know, gone are the time when you say, I've studied hotel management 20 years ago in one of the best hotel schools in the world, and I can vouch for it right now. No. The trends are changing. Every 6 months, something else has come up. AI is taking over the world. You are skilling and you are scaling the manpower. So what was good, what was concrete 20 years ago, or even 5 years ago, may not be relevant right now. We have to understand that somebody who joins your school right now are ready for the job market in next 4 years. What are you doing? How are you investing in terms of research that your students are ready to go to the job market in next 4 years? Are they employable? Are they going to be an entrepreneur? What are the chances of them going abroad? Obviously, if they are not going now, in next 4 years, they would be going out. And they would be competing from people from all over the world for that same job. Are you preparing that competitive person? So ask yourself. And not just strengthening your curriculum or making a big fancy school with the reclining chair and AC classroom. I'm sorry, I have to mention this. We focus a lot on packaging, but I think somewhere we are missing out on the content. And this is time to revisit that. Listen to what youth are looking for. They are looking for the opportunity to learn and earn at the same time. Traditionally, in Nepal, we discourage people doing part-time job. That was our values. That's how we grew up. Trends are changing. Promote that. And the industry, the connection with the industry is very important. You know, people who are hiring are interns or people who are hiring from, be little inclusive. See that when they come to your company to work, what is your HR doing? What is your training and development doing to make sure that they come, they are not just free labor for you, but they are actually getting something back from your industry, from your organization. So there should be a close tie-up, close work in terms of industry as well as the education institute. But I would like to emphasize on research-based learning, student-centric learning, more on exams should not be, you know, one pattern only. Move on with various patterns because people are learning in different way. And then skilling, give them skill. That is very important component. That's what I see lacking in most of the schools. And we believe that, you know, somebody who's very authoritative on a senior position, when they say something is right, that is right. We are scared of questions. We do not want challenges, but until and unless we are not ready to face those challenges and have the answers for that, we would not prosper. So collectively, all the schools must look into this and be proud of what we have and also work together to make it more concrete and more student-centric so that students who come to you, come to us, get employability, become an entrepreneur. If they go out after 4 years, explore the world, but come back to your country, set up an industry, and start giving back. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachana ji. So very interesting. Just to quickly summarize what Rachana ji mentioned, I think what I got is a triple E. When you do get into a business school, either you go for further education, which is the first E, you get employable, so you have to be employable, so focus on employability, and then entrepreneurship, right? So I think these are the 3 areas that we should be focusing on, is what I could make a The other thing that you talked about, love for Nepal, right? So I think most of us who are here went abroad, studied, got a good education, got a good experience, came back for love for Nepal, right? So did I, and so many of our people in this hall as well. So that's very important. And also a very essential thing that you brought up, which I think intrigued my thoughts as well, that hamro bachchaharko lai dream ke ta? What dreams are we giving them? What are we giving them for future? What are they looking forward to? 4 वर्ष मसँग BBA पढ, 2 वर्ष MBA पढ, अनि के त? What is there for them that's waiting for them to explore, either from an employability perspective, from a further education, research-based education, or student-centric education, or more importantly, entrepreneur banu chha opportunity ke cha ta, right? So I think that's very, very important. And one thing that you talked about, which rhymed very well, and I caught those 2 words, is learn and earn. हाम्रोमा के चाहिँ टिच छ, जुन सरले पनि भन्नु, मदन सरले पनि भयो, हाम्रो टिचिङको मेन्टालिटी बेसी छ. बट बाहिरतिर जाँदा 20 hours a week you can work भन्छ. On 40 hours they encourage them to work. हाम्रोमा के छ, पढ्न पहिला, किन काम गर्नु पर्यो र भने. So the whole idea of getting connected to the industry early on is, I think, very important. I think on the second part, we'll talk about industry and academia a little more. And the thing that you talk about, we focus on skill, but we don't focus maybe on scaling. So skill and scaling ko jun kura garnu bhayo, I think these are the 2 rhymed very well. I'm going to use it for my other panel discussion, that learn and earn and skill and scale. Thank you very much. So moving on to Professor Diliraj Sarmaji. So as a Dean for Faculty of Management at Tribhuvan University, and you're looking after the portfolio of management itself, the situation, I think, from students going abroad is very evident. From a policy perspective, is it concerning, or is there anything, is there anything that being worked on from a Tribhuvan University perspective, which is not stopping, because their right to education, they can go wherever they want, but at least helping them or giving them extra motivation कि होइन नेपालमै पढ, नेपालमा opportunities आइमेछ भने त्यस्तो के policies levelमा केही भइरहेछ, के गरिरहेछ नि, यसमा अलिकति highlight गरिदिनुस् न.
Thank you very much for your wonderful question. महेन्द्र सर र रचना म्याडमको धेरै राम्रो रिमार्क्स आएको छ. पोलिसी कन्सर्नको कुरा गर्नुभएको छ जहाँसम्म. हुन त त्रिभुवन विश्वविद्यालय पोलिसी बनाउने निकाय होइन. हामी पोलिसी राज्यले बनाउने हो, सरकारले बनाउने हो. मुलुकमा कस्तो शिक्षा नीति चाहिने, हामी कहाँ कति मेन पावर चाहिने. अहिलेसम्म पनि बडा दुःखद कुरा के छ भने हामी जतिसुकै ठुल्ठुलो कुरा गरे पनि मेन पावर ह्युमन रिसोर्स प्रोजेक्सन हामी कहाँ अहिलेसम्म छैन. सबभन्दा हामीले दुःख यहाँबाट व्यक्त गर्छौँ. मुलुकको 10 वर्षको लागि कति म्यानेजर चाहिने, हामीलाई कति इन्जिनियर चाहिने, कति डक्टर चाहिने, अथवा कुन कुन निकायमा कति मेन पावर चाहिने भन्ने कुराको प्रोजेक्सन त्यस खालको चाहिँ प्लानिङ गर्नुपर्ने नेपाल सरकार अथवा राज्यबाट यो चाहिँ होमवर्क भएको हुनुपर्ने र त्यस आधारमा युनिभर्सिटीहरूलाई त्यस अनुसारको मेन पावर उत्पादन गर्नको लागि एसाइन गर्नुपर्ने हो. त्यो हामी कहाँको सबभन्दा मेजर ल्याकिङ हो भन्ने मलाई लाग्दछ. म म्यानेजमेन्ट पढेँ, बाई चान्स पढेको. मलाई कसैले म्यानेजमेन्ट पढ भनेर पढाए पनि होइन, राज्यले त म्यानेजमेन्ट पढिस् भने त भोलि म्यानेजमेन्टको डिन हुन्छस् भनेर भने पनि होइन. मेरो कुनै त्यो मेन्टल टेस्ट गरेर मैले पढेको पनि होइन. संसारमा अहिले चाहिँ विकसित कन्ट्रीहरूमा यसरी पढाउनु पनि पढाइँदैन, हामी सबैले बुझेकै कुरा हो. जहाँसम्म नेप्लिज कन्टेक्स्टमा तपाईँले कुरा गर्नुभएको छ, त्रिभुवन विश्वविद्यालयको म डिनको रूपमा काम गरेको छु. धेरै यहाँ विद्वान साथीहरू पनि हुनुहुन्छ, लामो अनुभव भएको महेन्द्र सर पनि यहाँ हुनुहुन्छ. अहिले म्यानेजमेन्ट एजुकेसन नेपालमा मात्र नभएर वर्ल्डमै सबभन्दा पपुलर एजुकेसन भन्छौँ हामीले, बिजनेस एजुकेसन. यो हार्वर्डको चाहिँ रिसर्चले पनि देखाएको छ. 1954 मा 4 जना इन्टरमिडिएट 4 जना ब्याचलर्स 17 जना इन्टरमिडिएटबाट सुरु भएको एजुकेसन अहिले त्रिभुवन विश्वविद्यालयको मात्र मैले दृष्टान्त लिएँ भने लगभग 5 लाख विद्यार्थीहरूमा 50% अहिले म्यानेजमेन्टमा इनरोल भएको अवस्था छ. र अहिले विभिन्न हामीले 28 वटा प्रोग्रामहरू सञ्चालन गरेका छौँ. र यसमा हामीले के दावा गरेका छौँ भने हाम्रा सबै प्रोग्रामहरू मार्केटमा सेलेबल प्रोग्रामहरू हो. अलिकति सरसँग मेरो थोरै डिफ्रेन्सिएसन केमा रहन्छ भने हामी अहिले पनि पुरानै नजरले हेरिराखेका छौँ कि भन्ने मलाई लाग्दछ. करिकुलम चेन्जको कुराहरू आयो, यहाँ सिलेबसको कुराहरू आयो. म यहाँहरूलाई विनम्र अनुरोध गर्छु, उद्योग व्यवसायी साथीहरू पनि हुनुहुन्छ, हामीले फ्रिक्वेन्टली अहिले इन्डस्ट्री एकाडेमिया डायलग हामीले सञ्चालन गरिरहेका छौँ. हाम्रा प्रत्येक फ्याकल्टी बोर्डमा प्रत्येक सब्जेक्ट कमिटीमा हामीले अहिले विभिन्न इन्डस्ट्री र कमर्सका साथीहरूलाई हामीले हाम्रो फ्याकल्टी बोर्डमा सब्जेक्ट कमिटीमा समेत हामीले उहाँलाई राखेका छौँ. र त्यो बेसमा हामीले कोर्सहरू डेभलप गर्ने काम गरेका छौँ. र हामीले फ्रिक्वेन्टली उहाँहरूसँग कन्सल्ट गरेर मात्रै अहिले त्रिभुवन विश्वविद्यालयका करिकुलमहरू हामीले फ्याकल्टी अफ म्यानेजमेन्टमा हामीले डेभलप गरेका छौँ. म यहाँलाई जानकारी गराउँ, हाम्रो होटल म्यानेजमेन्टको कोर्स छ, BHMको कोर्स, नाथमको इडी साहबै यहाँ आउनुभएको छ. अहिले अस्ति भर्खर पनि म दुबई गएर आएको थिएँ. हामीलाई त्यहाँको चाहिँ 5 स्टार होटलहरूमा टप मोस्ट 5 स्टार होटलमा हामीले पाएको फिडब्याक के हो भने हाउ यु आर डेभलपिङ दिस काइन्ड्स अफ स्टुडेन्ट्स, योर स्टुडेन्ट्स आर रियल्ली दे आर क्वालिफाइड, देयर एटिच्युड इज रियल्ली गुड, यस्तो खालको फिडब्याक हामीले पाइरहेका छौँ। हामीले विभिन्न प्रोग्रामहरू चलाएका छौँ। BIM प्रोग्राम, इन्फर्मेसन म्यानेजमेन्टको प्रोग्राम छ, BBA छ, हामीसँग MBA स्कुल अफ म्यानेजमेन्टमा हामीले प्रोग्रामहरू चलाएका छौँ। क्वेसन्स मैले दावा गरेर भन्छु क्वालिटीको होइन, क्वेसन्स रिटेन्सनको, क्वेसन रिटेनको हामीले क्वालिटी मेन पावर उत्पादन गरेर पनि हामीले रिटेन गर्न सकेका छैनौँ। सायद यहाँ हस्पिटालिटी सेक्टरको साथीहरू पनि आउनुभएको छ। हामीले दुबईमा हाम्रो विद्यार्थीहरूलाई सोद्धाखेरि फर्केर नेपालमा आउँदा उनीहरूले 8-10 हजार 15 हजारको जागिर हाम्रो 5 स्टार होटलले दिँदैन। तपाईँ क्वेसन गर्नुहोस्, यही रेडिसन होटलमा BHMको विद्यार्थी कति तपाईँले हायर गर्नुभएको छ भनेर भन्नुभयो भने उहाँहरूको बाध्यता होला, उहाँहरूको कस्ट रिडक्सनको बाध्यता होला, त्यो एउटा पार्ट हो। तर अहिले पनि हामी कहाँ हस्पिटालिटीका जतिसुकै ठुल्ठुला गर्ने साथीहरूले पनि प्रोफेसनल मान्छेहरूलाई हायर गर्न सक्नुभएको छैन। अनि यसले गर्दा न हाम्रो हस्पिटालिटीको विकास हुन्छ, न हामीले राम्रो क्वालिटी दिएको विद्यार्थीहरू हामीले नेपालमा रिटेन गर्न सक्छौँ। अनि बाध्य भएर विद्यार्थी कहाँ जान्छ भन्दा भोलि तिनै दुबई वा बाहिरको 5 स्टार होटलमा उनीहरूले अफर गर्छ, विद्यार्थी त्यहाँ पढ्न जाने एउटा बाध्यता हामीले देखेका छौँ। MBA ग्रेजुएट्सको कुरा हामीले गर्छौँ। हामी कहाँको MBA ग्रेजुएट्स मैले एकदमै करिकुलममा मेरो यो ओपन नै भयो, ओपन च्यालेन्ज नै भयो। नो वान क्यान कम्पिट अर नो वान क्यान च्यालेन्ज माई सिलेबस। As a Dean of the Faculty of Management, I am claiming that my course is number 1. तर समस्या हाम्रो कहाँ हो भने केही हाम्रो पेडागोजीमा समस्या हो। पेडागोजीमा हाम्रो समस्या छन्, यो हामीले स्वीकार्नुपर्छ। किनभने हामीले नेपालमा जन्मे जति सबैलाई भर्ना गर्नुपर्ने, पढाउनु पर्ने ठेक्का लिएका छौँ। यो बाध्यता छ। तपाईँले बाध्यताको कुरा गरी नभन्नु होला, किनकि हामीले सबैलाई पढाउनु पर्ने, मासमा पढाउनु पर्ने भएको कारणले कतिपय सिलेबसहरूमा हामीले त्यो क्वालिटी इन्हेन्स गर्न नसकेका होला। तर पनि जुन हामीले स्पेसल फोकस कोर्सहरू डेभलप गरेका छौँ त्यसमा हामीले अलिकति पनि त्यसमा चाहिँ हाम्रो कमजोर छ भन्नुपर्ने अवस्था छैन। अब प्रब्लम कहाँनिर हो भने उद्योग वाणिज्य सङ्घको साथीहरू पनि हुनुहुन्छ। हामीले रेगुलरली इन्डस्ट्री एकाडेमीमा डायलग पनि सञ्चालन गरेका छौँ। भर्खरै हामीले स्कुल अफ म्यानेजमेन्टमा नोबेल ब्याङ्कसँग सहकार्य गरेर नोबेल SSC स्कुल भनेर हामीले सञ्चालन गरेका छौँ, जहाँ अहिले चाहिँ फेलोहरूले चाहिँ यो एन्टरप्रेन्योरसिप डेभलपमेन्टमा लाग्नुभएको छ। अहिले बिजनेस स्कुलको चाहिँ ठुलो च्यालेन्ज के हो भने हामीसँग धेरै स्कुलहरूले इन्क्युबेसन सेन्टरहरू इस्टाब्लिस गर्ने अथवा इनोभेसन सेन्टरहरू इस्टाब्लिस गरेर त्यसअनुसारको आइडिया डेभलपिङ गर्ने काममा अहिलेसम्म नलागेको अवस्था थियो। तर अब अहिले सुरुवात भएको छ। यसले पनि मलाई लाग्छ भोलिका दिनमा एन्टरप्रेन्योरसिप डेभलपमेन्टमा ठुलो मद्दत पुर्याउँछ। र अहिले मैले के भन्ने गरेको छु भने अब एन्टरप्रेन्योरसिप मात्रै होइन, अब हामीले सोसियल एन्टरप्रेन्योरसिपमा फोकस गर्नुपर्ने नेपालको आवश्यकता हो। त्यसकारण सोसियल एन्टरप्रेन्योरसिपमा हामी लाग्नुपर्ने जरुरी छ। र सहकार्य सबभन्दा के हो भने एजुकेसन इन्स्टिच्युट र बिजनेस अर्गनाइजेसन्सको बिचमा राम्रो सहकारी हुन जरुरी छ, टाइअप हुनु जरुरी छ। अझै पनि कहीँ रहेका ल्याकिङहरूलाई हामी सँगै बसेर अगाडि लैजानुपर्ने आवश्यकता छ। अब धेरै विद्यार्थीहरू बाहिर गयो भन्ने सन्दर्भमा यो हामी कहाँ क्वालिटी नै नभएर भन्ने मात्रै कुरा होइन। मैले अघि पनि भने, अघि म्याडमले भनेको कुरा म एकदमै सहर्ष स्वीकार्छु। यो ग्लोबलाइजेसनको एज हो। अमेरिकाको विद्यार्थी युकेमा गएर पढाएको छ, अमेरिकाको विद्यार्थी तपाईँ चाहिँ चाइनामा अथवा चाइनाको विद्यार्थी अमेरिका गएर पनि पढाएको छ। अपर्च्युनिटी नभएर मात्रै वा भएर मात्रै भन्ने कुरा पनि हुँदैन। यो मुभमेन्टलाई हामीले रोक्न सक्दैनौँ। एकातर्फ अर्कोतर्फ हामी WTO को मेम्बर भनेका छौँ। अघि सरले भन्नुभयो 83वटा विदेशी विश्वविद्यालयलाई हामीले यहाँ इन्भाइट गरेका छौँ भने हाम्रो विद्यार्थीहरू बाहिर जान्न भनेर हामीले भन्न सक्दैनौँ। तर बाहिर गएको विद्यार्थीहरूलाई फर्काउने कसरी, उनीहरूले त्यहाँ सिकेको क्वालिटीलाई हामीले ल्याउने कसरी, यो कुरामा चाहिँ हामीले फोकस गर्नुपर्ने जरुरी छ। अहिले म यति मात्रै राखेँ। थ्याङ्क यू भेरी मच।
Thank you, Dr. Saab. So I think very interesting and factual perspective हजुरले राख्दिनु भयो। I think Rachana ma'amले भनेको जस्तै एजुकेसन भन्दा पनि we have to go beyond education र employment को लागि, employability को लागि। Education त गर्ला, they become the most fantastic student, but if they don't get an opportunity then they would go to a country where they would get those opportunities. So I was doing a little bit of a fact check as well, and सरले भन्दै हुनुहुन्थ्यो आयरल्यान्ड को एजुकेसन सेक्टर हेरेको सबभन्दा धेरै इन्टरनेसनल स्टुडेन्ट आयरल्यान्डमा कुन कन्ट्रीबाट आउँछ भनेर एउटा सानो एउटा वर्कआउट गरेको छ। US बाट आउँछ। एभ्रीवन गोज टु द US, बट US बाट सबभन्दा धेरै कहाँ जान्छ? आयरल्यान्डमा जान्छ। वाइ? अभियसली
तपाईँ बोल्दा रिमार्क्स दियो। मेरै छोरो ट्रिनिटी कलेज डब्लिनमा पढ्छ आयरल्यान्डमा। ट्रिनिटीमा अहिलेसम्म नेपाली विद्यार्थी गएको चाहिँ रेकर्ड भेटाएन। तर तेरो क्लासमेट को छ भन्दा अलिकति साउथ इन्डियन छ, नभए अलमोस्ट उहाँले भनेको USA र क्यानाडाको स्टुडेन्टहरू छ। एकदम भएको कुरा हो।
So the kind of a perspective that they give, it's obviously a tax-free zone. Tax-free भएकोले lot of IT companies are there, lot of opportunities are there. अनि त्यो कारणको लागि international students are taken care because COVID को टाइम भरि सबैजना रुइरहेको थियो। आयरल्यान्डमा 208 pounds per week दिँदै उनीहरूलाई। So they really take care of international students. So it's a global market, right to education, but how we can probably do is work on some employability, connect with the industry, and in the second part, I'll talk about industry more particularly. And I think more important, I mean, retention ko kura garera chhu, that's very, very important. And one thing we should really work on, curriculum ta hamle design gareko deko cha, but the pedagogy that we use, and we focus on teaching pedagogy, but at the same time, learning pedagogy la pani hamle side by side lagyo bhane, I think that will give a fantastic educators ta chhaदैछ, but students haru pani liएर आउँछ. But at the same time, if with industry coming on board, creating that kind of environment would obviously retain most of the students because they have a dream to follow through. Thank you very much for those wonderful perspectives. I'll move into the second part, which I think I had planned it, but it's coming as if it's coming very naturally. So second part, technically what I wanted to actually talk about is success of any business school. I went to a business school myself. Alikati Nepalma padi, alikati Bidesma gaera pade. What I realized is industry exposure is very important. Connect matra bhayera bhayen. Early on, industry connect is very important. Market ko awareness, market ma ke bhairasa. We're talking about blockchain technology, bhairasa ke, AI ke bhairasa, bhairasa ke. We have no idea about what critical thinking is. We have stopped thinking. After classroom gaeपछि हामीले सोच्न बन्द गर्छौं, right? So critical thinking is important. Resilience, perseverance, जुन एउटा skill हैन, attitude को कुराहरु हुन्छ, and even the ability हैन कि the risk taking ability भनौं न, kind is completely missing out. So in the second part, I would like to see how, as a business school, we can connect better with industry and how we can work to create more employability opportunity. So on this note, the first question I'll ask Rachana ji. Since you are all working as an entrepreneur and working with Silver Mountain as one of the finest hospitality school in Nepal, do you think our current higher education system, Junsa, on itself connects us to the industry or not? If it does not, what can we do to ensure, it sounds a little bit of a repeated question, Dosto, but I want to really probe on this to ensure how can we really connect with the industry to ensure that students get a real experience while and their learning is much better and more impactful.
Thank you. Again, going back to the older times, पहिला के हुन्थ्यो गुरु शिष्यको चलन थियो हैन गुरुले जे भन्नुहुन्थ्यो शिष्यले होमा हो शिर झुकाएर हामीले बुझ्नुपर्ने गुरुलाई क्वेशन गर्न नपाइने हाम्रो traditionally this was our way of learning. Now the time has changed. People have a lot of questions and then on their fingertips they have 2,000 answers. Answers may be right, answer may be wrong, but there are answers. We don't know where to look for answers tara paincha. Classroom ma त्यही questions सुरु हुन्छ. Students will come with various questions. Teachers, are they prepared? Are they prepared to take challenges? Are they prepared to tell honestly to the students, I'm sorry, I do not know the answer today, but I'm going to come back tomorrow with the answer and let's discuss this. Let's discuss this among you all. You know, these kind of atmosphere to be created, not just on higher education, this has to start from, like this has to be a systematic change. सानो उमेरदेखि नै क्वेशन सोध्न हामीले प्रोत्साहन गर्नु पर्यो र त्यो क्वेशनको आन्सर दिन पनि there's not necessarily right or wrong answers. We have to teach our kids a lot of gray areas also. And then attitude and aptitude. Schools higher education ma गएपछि पनि ग्रेडलाई मात्र हेरेर हैन कि त्यो मान्छे होलिस्टिक लाइक एउटा होलसम भोलि तपाईले जब मार्केटमा पठाउनुहुन्छ भने A+ लिएर आएको विद्यार्थी त छ आँखामा हेरेर आन्सर गर्न सक्दैन अथवा उसको बडी ल्याङ्ग्वेज इज अल रङ he or she is full of themselves, they do not know how to take no as an answer. So यी सबै parametersहरु कुनै पनि स्कुलले when they start taking care, lots of unlearning happen when students come to my school. I'm not talking about everyone, but when someone comes to Silver Mountain, for the first 6 months, there's a lot of unlearning. उनीहरुले जानेर आएका सिकेका कुराहरुलाई पनि there's a lot of things that we have to straight it right because we are preparing them for the global market. And then पढाइको सिलसिलामा एउटा मान्छेले सबैलाई एउटै किसिमको मात्रै जाँच लिएर त्यो मान्छेले त्यो त्यो जाँचमा सबैजनाले उस्तै किसिमको मार्क्स लिएर आउरान् अथवा द्याट इज अ फेयर जजमेन्ट अफ देयर अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङ चाहिँ नहुन पनि सक्छ. सो वी हेभ टु, दिस इज अ ह्युमङ्गस टास्क. एउटा त्यो क्वेसनको एक्जामको प्याटर्नै चेन्ज गर्न पनि, बिकज वी आर असिस्टेड. अब हामीले इन्टरनेसनल एजुकेसन युनिभर्सिटीसँग एफिलिएटेड भएको भएर त्यसको धेरै हामीलाई सजिलो छ. एन्ड द्याट वे वी आर ट्रेनिङ एन्ड वी आर डेभलपिङ आवर फ्याकल्टी अल्सो इन द्याट वे. किनभने पुरानो तरिकाबाट जुन सिकाइ र अहिलेको नयाँ सिकाइ इज डिफरेन्ट. एन्ड देन दिस हेज टु बी सेयर्ड विथ एभ्री वान. मैले जानेको कुरा मैले मेरा जस्ता अरू होटल म्यानेजमेन्ट कलेजलाई पनि सिकाउन सक्नु पर्यो, उहाँहरू पनि सिक्न खोज्नु पर्यो. कम्पिटिसन त छ. त्यही सेम chunk of students would be divided among so many hotel schools, but when they come to you, are they getting value for money? That is very important. And coming back to the industry relationship, because ours is a hotel school, from day one they would be definitely involved in all the practical learning. And then I said, I talked about this earlier also, what they are learning today is, they would be, it has to be applicable in next 4 years. So learning and teaching has to be very research-based. And then we are teaching everything modern, everything futuristic, you know. We are talking about something that would be, the world is changing, what are they, what is expected of them. But are we preparing our faculty in the same way? So faculty development ma pani, it's not just academic, but industry exposure pani. Koi manchele mero school ma culinary arts पढाउनु हुन्छ अथवा front office पढाउनु हुन्छ, उहाँले 10 वर्ष अगाडि best of the hotel school मा काम पढेर आउनु भयो अथवा best of the hotel मा काम गरेर आउनु भयो भने आज उहाँको industry exposure के छ. भोलि मेरो स्टुडेन्ट त 2 वर्षपछि वर्ल्डको फाइनेस्ट होटलमा इन्टर्नसिपमा जान्छ भने उसले सिकेर आएको कुराहरूको अगाडि फ्याकल्टी उसले त्यो रेलेभेन्ट हुनु पर्यो नि त. क्लासमा सिकेका कुराहरू उसको इन्डस्ट्री रेलेभेन्ट पनि हुनु पर्यो. सो इन्डस्ट्री बेस्ड रिसर्च बेस्ड लर्निङ गर्न सकेको खण्डमा र इन्डस्ट्रीले पनि, they should acknowledge that we are producing as per your requirement, as per the changes that is happening in the world, as per the need of the customers. त्यो अनुसारको पार्टनरशिप हुनु एकदमै जरुरी छ. उहाँले अघि भन्नुभयो उद्योगीहरूले पनि करिकुलम डेभलप गर्दाखेरि उहाँको इक्वल पार्टनरशिप हुनु पर्ने हुन्छ. what are they lacking? म्यानेजर बनाउनको लागि तपाईले म्यानेजर हायर गर्नु हुनुहुन्छ भने what are you looking at? Are you just looking at the degree? Are you looking at the class topper? Are you looking at that leadership? Are you looking at somebody who can work as a team? Are you looking for that person to make sure that when that person comes to your organization, there's not just financial growth, but your other peers, your other members of your company are also happier working. उहाँहरू खुसी साथ काममा आउनुहुन्छ, प्रोडक्टिभिटी बढ्छ. यस्ता किसिमका च्यालेन्जेसहरू, यस्ता किसिमका कुराहरू स्किलमा मात्र होइन कि पढाइमा डे 1 देखि that has to be developed, that has to be part of the teaching, that has to be part of the learning, and that has to be continuous, not just for the students. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachana ji. So, it's just not about industry like connect garne matra haina ki day 1 dekhi नै industry नै embed hunu paryo. I think that's very, very important. And while we are talking about student connecting with the industry, we need to ensure that the faculty is also connecting. Either we have to get from the industry, or we have to connect faculty to the industry. I think that's very, very important. And while we're doing everything, the collaboration between the colleges to learn from each other, because industry collaboration, industry connect, sabaiसँग नहोला, right? So I think that learning, I think holistic development of the industry, business, school itself, एकजनाको मात्र नभएर सबैको हुने probability will be much higher. And more importantly, what we're teaching is, are we teaching them for today? Or are we teaching them for future? And industry, how open are they? कि मलाई के चाहिन्छ? मलाई topper चाहिन्छ भन्छ कि मलाई यो skill वाला चाहिन्छ कि मलाई यो leadership skills. I think that open channel communication where they're able to share those things and that gets fully recognized at a later date, I think is equally important as well. Now I'll move on to Professor Mahendra ji. But before I ask you a question, a very interesting perspective that I wanted to share is I was watching this video, I think was it in TikTok or Instagram, I don't remember. And it is a joke about it. एउटा सानो बच्चा सानो मतलब नि 11-12 इयर्सको ऊ युट्युबमा उसले भिडियो हेरिरहेको थियो साइकल चलाइरहेको युट्युबमा भिडियो हेर्थ्यो गएर साइकल चलाउनु जान्थ्यो लड्थ्यो फेरि फर्केर आउँथ्यो युट्युबमा भिडियो हेर्थ्यो साइकल चलाउँथ्यो सो इट टुक प्रब्ली days and she could not learn it. But there was someone outside जो चाहिँ ऊ लड्ने बित्तिकै खुर्र आउँथ्यो उसले त्यो साइकलमा बस्थ्यो चलाउँ ऊ पनि लड्थ्यो उसलाई 5-6 दिन लाग्यो उसले सिकेन उसले 2 दिनमा त्यो साइकल सिक्यो सो अहिलेको मेन्टालिटी के छ भने इफ यु रियली वान्टेड टु लर्न म युट्युबमा एउटा हेऱ्यो भने आई विल बिकम अ ट्रेडर आई विल बिकम एन इन्भेस्टर बट अनलेस यु एक्चुली ट्राई इट आउट एन्ड एक्सपिरियन्स लर्निङ हुँदैन तबसम्म चाहिँ यो अगाडि बढ्दैन भन्ने चाहिँ पर्सपेक्टिभ सो अन द्याट सेम नोट म प्रोफेसरसँग चाहिँ एउटा क्वेसन you've got an experience over 35 years in the field of academia. And you've talked about, Tyo Belama, there was a situation where we got the best of the best CEOs, CEOs, directors, central bank, everywhere. They were actually studied, Shanker Dev Campus, Tribhuvan University. So obviously there has been a shift because it has become more competitive, more globalized. So from your perspective, looking back 35 years back, अहिले आएर हामीले इन्डस्ट्रीलाई कनेक्ट गराउनको लागि फ्रम एन एकाडेमिसियन्स पर्सपेक्टिभ चाहिँ यो काम गऱ्यो भने चाहिँ आई थिङ्क वी विल बी एबल टु मेक आवर बिजनेस स्कुल मच मोर रोबस्ट एन्ड मच मोर इम्प्याक्टफुल हुनसक्छ भने त्यसमा अलिकति सेयर गरिदिनुहोस् न
With due respect to our Sir Dean sir, I would like to actually say something about it. I never thought I will be talking about hotel management here. But I had to. When I was invited as a visiting faculty at NATHM, from the day one onwards, what I was telling actually NATHM is, you should produce managers. They have not listened. सरले भन्नुभएको कुरा ठिकै हो 5-star होटलमा कतिजना नेपाली म्यानेजर छन् मास्टर्स लेभलको पढाइ हुन्छ त्यहाँ कामदार मात्रै प्रड्युस गर्ने हो हाउ मेनी मास्टर्स आर म्यानेजर्स हियर इन काठमाडौँ त्यो हिसाब गरौँ सरले भन्नुभयो हो दुबईमा गएर काम गरे दे आर भेरी वेल ट्रेन्ड त्यसमा कुनै दुई मतै छैन उनीहरूले जस्तो किसिमको नाथममा तालिम पाउँछन् कुनै पनि इम्प्लोयरले उनीहरूलाई छोड्न चाहँदैन तर कुन लेभलको जब पायो त हामीले म्यानेजर बनाउन कोसिस गरे होइन कति म्यानेजर्सहरूले काम पाए खोइ त्यसको लेखाजोखा त्यो लेखाजोखा हुँदैन दोस्रो नाथम जस्तो इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर भएकोले कम्तीमा मैले भनेको आज 10 वर्षभन्दा बढी कम्तीमा पनि देशले नै गरोस् भनेको थिएँ मैले हाम्रो सार्क राष्ट्रबाट फर इक्जाम्पल मालदिप्स टुरिज्ममा 1 नम्बर त्यहाँको एकजना विद्यार्थी ल्याउँ हाम्रै पैसाले पढाइदिउँ कम्तीमा एकजनाले त्यो नाथममा पढ्यो भने ऊ भोलि फर्केर म नाथममा पढेर आए त भन्थ्यो वी हेभ नेभर ट्राइड द्याट इज रियालिटी अब तपाईँको 2029-31 को कुरा गर्दाखेरि अब अलिक कुरा मिल्दैन त्यो बेलाको दुःखको कुरै गरी सत्य छैन हाउ वी वेन्ट टु किर्तिपुर हाउ वी स्टडी त्यो कुरा गरेर साध्य नै छैन है किताब छैन बस छैन यो छैन ऊ छैन त्यो बेलाको एकदम चाहिँ मिलिट्री शासन जस्तोको पढाइ थियो हाम्रो बोल्न नपाइने ऊ म्याडमले भन्नुभयो जस्तो उसले जे भने त्यही टिप्ने हो एन्ड नो क्वेसनिङ एट अल तर अहिलेको परिप्रेक्ष्यमा मलाई अरू सरहरूको त थाहा छैन म क्लासमा जाने बेला बडा सतर्क हुन्छु आई एक्चुअली ट्राई एटलिस्ट 3 hours before I go to the class, particularly for MBAs. Because I know they have the same technology that you have. And they might be actually learning more than what you have. And definitely, as a faculty, I must be very careful before I go to the class. Things have changed. They might be knowing more than what you know. They have the same technology. But fortunately, unfortunately, what I have done is, even now I am doing it, I keep myself familiar with what is happening in the best business school in the world. I know what is happening in Harvard. I know what is happening in Wharton. I know what is happening in London School of Business, so far the management school is concerned. I get updated with the best of research works And I try to give that same type of actually education that I try to give to the students. Unfortunately, I fail. Because the level of knowledge that you are talking about is quite actually large, wide. Let me give you one more example here. One of my students, she's in Canada right now. And yesterday she wrote me an email saying that, Sir, म त फर्कनु पर्ने बेला भयो, किन र नानी भने। यहाँको पढाइ त भएन सर। किन भन्नु सरले भन्नुभएको कुरा बल्ल म चेत्दैछु भने। What is the problem you are experiencing? The type of education that actually the university provides there. हो प्रोफेसरहरूले त पढाउँदै पढाउँदो रहन्छ सर यहाँ त। सबै हेरेर आओ, come back to the class at 10 o'clock and be ready. खोइ त हाम्रो तराई. They are not ready at all. Number one, lots of students, those who have gone to United States, let me tell you, so they will not get a better job there unless they have actually the local degree. And they join MBA, and they want recommendation letter from me. So I have given quite a lot of actually recommendation letter to our students. During the course of their study, now they realize how difficult it is to get education in the United States. That is what I am emphasizing. Let me tell you one more my experience. During the COVID time, I happened to actually started thinking how to pass the time. So fortunately, unfortunately, I found 2 of the business schools providing online education free of cost. And one was Harvard, and one was Wharton. You'll be very surprised. I had a very big fight in my family. They said, यो उमेरमा आएर के काम न कासँग पढिराख्नु भयो तपाईले. But because I wanted to gain certain knowledge, so I thought I should join it. You'll be very surprised. 1.5 months of that time, you cannot just imagine. I never slept. Because you have to finish your job, post it, and next person is going to come. That is the type of education we are talking about. You go to any premier business schools in the United States. Let me cite you one example. One of the basic parameters of getting actually admitted in Harvard or in Wharton is how good you are in writing. How good you are in writing. And in due course of time, I happened to download an essay written by John F. Kennedy, who submitted that for admission. I downloaded that. His grandchildren, his grandson, he happened to be again the students of Harvard, and he also has written an actually essay. I read both of them. Then I should say that my language is not good at all compared to that MBAs in the United States. Then I thought I must progress myself. This is the type of things that is happening here right now. She is right. Every day things are changing. Pandemic world. We don't know what is going to happen. Challenges are more. You see that? And therefore, when the challenges are more, the managers who are trained today might not be able to work for tomorrow. They have to be very much agile. If they are not agile, they will not be actually able to confess with the real life situation in life. Take for example now, we have actually the liquidity crunch for the past several months. We had actually microeconomic situation in the country. How to deal with that? Do you think that's old bottle, new wine, or new bottle, old wine? How can our managers solve that problem? New things are going to come up. See, the geopolitical risk is so serious these days. We are quite far away from Ukraine. Why are we suffering? What is going to happen if something goes wrong in Taiwan now? What will happen to the business in Nepal? Have you ever imagined that? We are in an interconnected world. And simply because you say that we are in Nepal, probably that is not going to solve the problem. What happened to COVID-19? What happened to the Ukraine war? And what will happen if something goes wrong in actually Taiwan now? So these are the things that the skills needs to be actually given to our students, and accordingly it has to be changed because things are changing very fast. Of course, you are correct. US news, I was going through that and I was very surprised. If you find out the foreign students in major universities in United States, Nepal comes fourth. First, second, third, fourth. Surprisingly. How so many students have already gone to United States and they are studying right now. And you'll be very surprised. Why they go to United States? Everybody knows about it. As I said, 96% of the students, they don't come back to Nepal. They might come back because of certain problems at home in Kathmandu or otherwise, and they stay there. You'll be very surprised. Undergraduate students spend 12 years to complete the undergraduate. 12 years, 4 into 3. Why they are staying there? That is the situation. Retention is going to play one of the most important role. But how we are going to retain, that is the big question. And to do that, quality comes first. Let me tell you one more thing. Just now, she was telling about the industry interface. I feel very sorry to say that we have in management internship at the graduate and undergraduate level. You'll be very surprised. What do they learn when they go for 2 months? They go to internship, and if you read their actually internship report, what did they learn? Number one. Number two, cases. All around the world, the business schools, actually the method of learning is actually the case study. And what we do normally, we are very poor in case studies. Real case studies are not there. In certain disciplines, of course, the case studies have started coming in, particularly entrepreneurship. Lots of research is being done in, and we have case studies. The majority of the cases, they are all actually foreign one. When you are teaching the foreign one, how are you going to contextualize in Nepal? Things are quite different. I have actually lot of email exchanges with the professors, and let me share one thing. When I was offered a course of ethics, I was very afraid to go to the class. So one of the best renowned author of ethics, I just wrote an email. I was having contact with him. I have a very hard time teaching class in ethics. Will you please help me? Then he said, what is the problem with you? Then I told the real life situation in Nepal. So how do I teach? As soon as I go to the class, sir, you are teaching ethics. Where is ethics in Nepal? कहाँ खोज्ने हो त्यो ethics भनेको? Torch बालेर? See, this is the biggest challenge we experience in our context. We have to consider all those things, and then only we will be able to do it. And those things needs to be considered in totality, and then only we can think of the actual future of business education. Things are changing very fast. We have to change it. How quickly we can change, that is the big question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So I think quickly to put things in perspective, things are changing fast. I mean, chano change bhayena bhane, they will change us, and that is even worse, right? So if you don't create your own culture, the culture will create by itself. Situation ma pugsau bhanera. We talked about creating managers, but at the same time, let's start creating entrepreneurs. I think that would create a lot of retention in Nepal. We talked about the geopolitical risk, and something that I could summarize, whether I have done justice to your summary, but I'll give it a try. So, paila ke huntyo, power of scarcity huntyo. Scarce huntyo, and there was a power, because it was scarce, so you had it actually helped you understand. Aile ke bhairacha, sadness of abundance bhairacha. Dherai cha, fingertips ma dherai cha, so we're taking everything for granted. The other thing that you talked about, which really intrigued my thought, is Nathamma हामी international student किन नल्याउने, अरू ठाउँबाट किन international students हरु नल्याउने, बरु फ्रीमै पढाउँ न भन्ने कुराहरु. One thing that's very important for a business school to really succeed, from my little understanding, is diversity. When you look at Financial Times ranking for all the business schools in the world, where you always see Stanford, London Business School, Wharton, always on the top, one of the key components is diversity कति छ. नेपाली स्टुडेन्ट छ कि छैन, साउथ एसियाबाट छैन, इन्जिनियरहरू मात्र छ कि चार्टर्ड अकाउन्टेन्ट मात्र छ कि कोही डिजे पनि छ त्यहाँ, कोही स्पोर्ट्सम्यान पनि छ, लाइक सो द डाइभर्सिटी द्याट वी वान्ट आउट अफ भेरियस सेक्टर्स, as well as if we can get international diversity in Nepal, I think that'll be fantastic. So that brings me to Sir Lai, your last question. I think that it's pretty much the summary of all the perspective that we brought about. So whenever we think about business school, Sir Lai, so we think about Harvard, Stanford, Wharton, London Business School, Kellogg's, IIM Ahmedabad, etc., etc. That's what comes to our mind. Hazurle भन्नुभएको थियो कि initially we are connecting with the industry to ensure that our curriculum is more industry focused than before. Can we do something dramatic? Can we do something, a paradigm shift, where simple things like Sirle भन्नुभएको छ, we're talking about Pepsi र Coca-Cola को war, Gillette कसरी हो भने. Let's talk about Marriott Hotel. Let's talk about IME. Let's talk about YY ko story in Nepal. Let's talk about phone pay revolution, e-sewa le ke garecha cha, the fintech revolution in Nepal. Let's talk about the health tech revolution in Nepal. So is there a possibility we can talk about something paradigm shift in terms of creating Hazukma research cell, or I'm sure that, but why don't we create a case study cell where the only job of that is to probably write cases related to Nepal, related to and we teach from that perspective to that. त्यो बाहेक अरु कुनै हामीले गर्न सक्छौं to ensure that we really uplift the business school को quality, which is already uplifted, but can we uplift it even more? So.
I tried 6 months to write one case study for my book. Every day that CEO, he used to ask me to come at certain time, I go, and he will just give me a cup of tea, and he will not give any sorts of info. 6 months rolled on. So I finished my book without writing any case. This is the situation in Nepal.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Very good question. बिजनेस स्कुलको वास्तवमा प्यारामिटर के हुनुपर्ने, अबको बिजनेस स्कुल कसरी अगाडि जानुपर्ने, हामीले फ्युचर अफ बिजनेस स्कुल भन्दै थियौँ। मैले एउटा रिसर्चमा भेटाएको थिएँ, केही 8-10वटा पोइन्टहरू बिजनेस स्कुलको सबभन्दा फोकल पोइन्ट हो भन्ने लाग्छ। दे सुड एबल टु इम्पावर सर्टेन स्किल्स टु द स्टुडेन्ट्स इन दिस 21st सेन्चुरी। पहिलो भनेको कम्युनिकेसन स्किल, सेकेन्ड वान इज लिडरसिप स्किल, third one is innovative as well as that creative idea. Next one is critical thinking. Another one is that networking and teamwork. And they should be able to build a team, and they should work on collaborations. Only from collaborations and they can get the advantage of synergistic effect. आजभोलि अब कम्पिटिसन पनि भन्न छोडिसकेको छ। आजभोलि दिस इज द एज अफ कोलाबोरेसन, नट कम्पिटिसन। हामीले त्यो खालको स्कुलिङ गर्नुपर्ने जरुरी छ। नेक्स्ट वान अघि यहाँ कुरा आयो, साइन्टिफिक एज वेल एज टेक्नोलोजिकल नो हाउ। Another one is that project development. These are the qualities to be empowered to our students from business schools. त्यो बाहेक पनि अर्को सबभन्दा ठुलो समस्या अहिले के हो भने, we should empower them about that value based education. अघि नेपालको माया आदि इत्यादि कुराहरू आयो, हामीले अहिले पनि नसकेको कुरा के हो भने, we are not able to enhance that value based education to them. त्यही भएर अहिले म्यानेजमेन्टको फिलोसफीमा पनि नलेज, एटिच्युड र स्किलको कुरा आइरहेको छ। एटिच्युडलाई सबभन्दा बढी फोकस गर्नुपर्ने अहिलेको अर्को सबभन्दा महत्त्वपूर्ण आवश्यकता हामीले देखेका छौँ। हामीले म्यानेजर त बनाउने, तर कस्तो म्यानेजर बनाउने, उसले रियल्ली कन्ट्रिब्युट सोसाइटीको लागि गर्न सक्छ कि सक्दैन, देशको लागि गर्न सक्छ कि सक्दैन। मैले अघि सोसियल एन्टरप्रेन्योरसिपको कुरा त्यसैमा जोड्न खोजेको पनि हो। त्यो कुरालाई हामीले फोकस गर्नुपर्ने जरुरी छ। नेप्लिज कन्टेक्स्टमा महेन्द्र सरले धेरै कुरा गर्नुभयो, मेरो गुरु पनि हो। वास्तवमा समस्या छ, समस्या नभएको होइन, तर सरले 35 वर्ष पढाइसकेको मान्छेले यो निराश हुने गरी मात्रै पनि कुरा नगरौँ, मेरो विनम्र अनुरोध हो सरलाई। म्यानेजरै छैन भन्नुभयो, डाटा त मैले लिएर आएको छैन। सायद म्यानेजरको कुरा गर्ने भने सरहरू यहीँ हुनुहुन्छ, 100-150 म्यानेजर उत्पादन नभएका होइनन् है सर, यस्तो कुरा नगरौँ। धेरै म्यानेजर उत्पादन भएको छ र मलाई लाग्छ यो हलमा भएको चाहिँ सबै म्यानेजरहरू अलमोस्ट ट्युकै प्रोडक्ट हो। उहाँहरू क्यापेबल हुनुहुन्न, तपाईहरु चाहिँ फेलर हुनुहुन्छ भनेर सायद हामीले भन्न मिल्दैन सर। यो कुरा चाहिँ सरले पनि बुझ्नुपर्ने कुरा हो। हामीले नै पढाएको प्रोडक्टहरु हो र म पनि सरले नै पढाएको प्रोडक्ट हुँ। यो कुरालाई पनि हामीले तोजौँ। जहाँसम्म केसको कुरा गर्नुभएको छ, हामीले सुरु गरेका छौँ। हामीले ब्याचलर्स लेभलबाट केस स्टडी सुरु गरेका छौँ। सर हिजो थिएन, सरले पनि केस पढाउनु भएको होइन, मैले पनि केस पढेर आएको होइन। हामी कहाँ केस पढाउने टिचर छैन। टिचरले केस भनेको प्यासेज बुझ्छ। अहिले पनि अलमोस्ट सरले पढाएको स्टुडेन्टलाई पनि प्यासेज बुझेको छ, तर पनि के हो भने सुरु भएको छ। धेरै ठाउँमा अहिले हाम्रै सरहरू फ्याकल्टीहरू हार्वर्डमा गएर चाहिँ केसको ट्रेनिङ गरेर आउनुभयो, आइएम अहमदाबादमा गएर चाहिँ केसको ट्रेनिङ गरेर आउनुभयो। मैले नै मेरी इनिसिएसन्समा हामीले आइएम पाण्डेहरू लगायतको आइएम अहमदाबादको टिमलाई ल्याएर 5 दिन हामीले इन हाउस हामीले चाहिँ केसको चाहिँ 40 जना हाम्रो टिचरलाई राखेर हामीले चाहिँ प्रोग्राम गऱ्यौँ। उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ हामीले इन्हेन्स गऱ्यौँ। अहिले प्रत्येक सरले हेर्नुभयो भने पनि हाम्रो क्वेसनहरूमा हामीले केस सुरु गरेका छौँ। अहिले सिमुलेसन्सहरू गर्न थालिएको छ बिजनेस स्कुलहरूमा। यो छैन मात्रै नभनौँ, भएको छ, तर जति हुनुपर्ने त्यो अझै कम्प्लिट नभएको कुरा चाहिँ मैले स्वीकार्छु। र त्यहाँ पनि के हो भने अब आइएम अहमदाबादको इतिहास कहिलेदेखिको हो, हार्वर्डको इतिहास कहिलेदेखिको हो। हामी कहाँ त अस्ति 1954बाट बल्ल बिजनेसको कन्सेप्ट आएको हो। त्यसमा पनि यो म्यानेजमेन्ट कसले पढ्ने, कमर्स कसले पढ्ने भन्दाखेरि मैले कमर्स पढ्ने बेलासम्म पनि सरको त कुरै छोडौँ, काठमाडौँमा भएको भएर हुन त पाल्पाको सर पनि नेवारको छोरा बिजनेस गर्ला भनेर चाहिँ सरलाई कमर्स पढाउनु भयो होला। कमर्स पढ्ने भनेको चाहिँ एकदमै चाहिँ इलाइट वर्गको बिजनेस गर्छ भन्ने कन्सेप्टमा मात्र कमर्स पढ्ने चलन थियो। छोरा बिग्रे कमर्सले, छोरी बिग्रे नर्सले भन्ने एउटा चाहिँ स्लोगनै छ भनेर चाहिँ सम्म भन्थ्यो भने अहिले जुन एउटा चाहिँ यो चेन्ज आएको छ करिकुलमहरूमा, सिलेबसहरूमा र एउटा चाहिँ बिजनेस र चाहिँ एकाडेमिक इन्स्टिट्युटहरूको बिचमा हामीले एउटा चाहिँ कोलाबोरेसन गर्दैछौँ, यसलाई सकारात्मक रूपबाट लिनुपर्छ। अहिले भर्खरै हामीले कोअपरेटिभ एन्ड एन्टरप्रेन्योरसिप डेभलपमेन्टको मास्टर्स MBA सञ्चालन गर्न लागेका छौँ। नेपालमा अहिले हामीले चाहिँ हजारौँ कोअपरेटिभहरू चाहिँ हामीले खोल्यौँ, लाखौँ कोअपरेटिभहरू, अरबौँको कारोबार, 200 भन्दा बढी कोअपरेटिभले मोर देन 2 अरबको कारोबार गर्दो रहेछ। हेर्नुहोस् समस्या हामी कहाँ कहाँ छ। तर त्यत्रो कारोबार गर्दाखेरि पनि हामी कहाँ अहिलेसम्म पनि कोअपरेटिभको राम्रो मेन पावर हामी कहाँ रहन्छ नेपालमा। हामीले धेरै युनिभर्सिटीहरू हेऱ्यौँ, धेरै ठाउँको हामीले करिकुलमहरू पनि हेरिसकेपछि अहिले कोअपरेटिभ महासङ्घसँग नेपाल सरकारसँग बसेर हामीले ठुलो इन्ट्रेक्सन गऱ्यौँ। धेरै हामीले त्यहाँका चाहिँ विज्ञहरूले ल्याएर छलफल गर्दा अब कोअपरेटिभको गभर्नेन्स मेन्टेन गर्ने हो भने हामी कहाँ कोअपरेटिभ एजुकेसन्स इन डेप्थ चाहिन्छ भन्ने मान्यताको आधारमा हामीले MBA इन कोअपरेटिभ म्यानेजमेन्टको कोर्स हामीले रन गर्दैछौँ सेन्ट्रल डिपार्टमेन्ट अफ म्यानेजमेन्टमा। त्यसकारण आशावादी बनौँ, यहाँहरूबाट फिडब्याक आउनु पऱ्यो। छैन भनेर चाहिँ नेगेटिभ कुराले मात्र केही हुँदैन, तर बस अब सकारात्मक रूपबाट अगाडि गयौँ भने मलाई लाग्छ धेरै चेन्ज हामीले गर्न सकिन्छ। वी हेभ भेरी गुड पोटेन्सियालिटी। थ्याङ्क यू भेरी मच।
Thank you, sir. Obviously, Tribhuvan University has a fantastic history, right? And we've got one of the best entrepreneurs, talk about managers. And I think two things, and I'll quickly wrap it up and move into the audience for questions, is हाम्रो manager त बनाउने तर कस्तो बनाउने, ethics based बनाउने कि value based बनाउने कि नबनाउने. Manager त राम्रो बनाउन सबै पैसा लिएर विदेश गयो भने manager बनाएर नेपाललाई त contribute भएन, right? Do they contribute back to the society? Do they give, let's say, हुन्छ म 5% of the profit, I'll give it back to the society, give it back to Tribhuvan University जहाँ म पढेको छु, right? त्यो खालीको feelings, ethics based कुराहरू ल्याउन सक्यो भने it'll be fantastic. So I think the discussions are very interesting. I know, a little bit of a heated, but I think the whole intent is to give the perspective. So I'll move on, and I think I'll take few minutes. I don't know how much time do I have because I got too immersed in the conversation as well. So if you any questions from the audience, if you could just ask your question and please let me know to which panelist is that particular question directed to, so that the panelists can ask that question. So we have someone. So Vishnu Sarai hununcha there. Sorry. So my guru is there.
सर्वप्रथम त म न्यू बिजनेस एज त्यसमा पनि स्पेसल्ली मदनजीलाई र केशवजीलाई धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु यो अवसर दिनुभएकोमा। म चाहिँ के रिप्रेजेन्ट गर्छु भने धेरै महेन्द्र सर जस्तो सिनियर पनि होइन, धेरै पुरानो पनि होइन, तर म यो पेसामा बिजनेस एजुकेसन लागेको 27 वर्ष भयो र मेरो र अरूले को यसमा लाग्न अलिक फरक के छ भनेदेखि मैले चाहिँ आफूले कोर्स डिजाइन गरेर अनि त्यो कोर्सलाई यहाँको लोकल युनिभर्सिटीले एप्रुभल लिएर सुरु गरेँ। अरू जनरली बिजनेस सुरु गर्दा कसरी हुनुभएको छ भने पहिले पढाएको अनुभव भएर टिचर भएर अथवा प्रोफेसर भएर सुरु गर्नुभयो। मैले चाहिँ फर्स्ट क्लास लिएकै पहिले आफ्नो कलेज खोल्दा आफ्नै कलेजको स्टुडेन्टलाई लिएर मैले सुरु गरेँ 26 वर्ष अगाडि। र यहाँ अहिले कुरा के आयो भने 2-3 कुरा आयो, क्वालिटीको कुरा आयो, क्वालिटी के कारणले भएन भन्ने कुरा आउँदाखेरि सरले के भन्नुभयो भने हाम्रो सिलेबस वन्डरफुल छ, हार्वर्डको भन्दा राम्रो गर्न सकिन्छ, त्यसैको डाउनलोड गरेर 2-4वटा चिज थपिदिएपछि त्योभन्दा राम्रो भइगयो, केही गर्नै परेन। त्यसपछि हाम्रो प्याडागोगी भन्नु हो, प्याडागोगीमा पनि म मान्दिनँ, प्याडागोगीको कारणले होइन, किन मेन प्रब्लम हाम्रो भनेको प्रोफेसर भएन, टु टिचर भएन। बाहिर हार्वर्ड MIT LBSमा के छ भने राम्रो टिचर छ, त्यो टिचरले क्लासरुममा के पढाइदिन्छ स्टुडेन्टलाई भने रियल बिजनेस प्रब्लम सिचुएसन के छ त्यसलाई छलफल गरेर त्यसमा के राइट के रङ के कारणले त्यो भयो भनेर उनीहरूबाटै छलफल गराएर एउटा निष्कर्ष निकालिदिन्छ। फर इक्जाम्पल केस एउटा के हुनसक्छ भने रिसेन्टली मेरो छोराले अहिले ग्रेजुएट गरेर आयो LBSबाट, उसँग मैले इन्ट्रेक्सन गरेँ। एउटा केस के हुनसक्छ, अलिबाबाको केस प्रोफेसरले डिस्कसन गरिरहेछ, गर्दा गर्दै बिचैमा जुममा ज्याक माला ल्याइदिन्छ उसकै केसमा, र ज्याक मालाले नै भनाइदिन्छ कि म कसरी के भएर अहिले मलाई चाइनाले दुःख दिइरहेको छ, अहिले गभर्मेन्टले दुःख दिएर म कसरी कुन फेजमा छु भनेर डिस्कसन गराइदिन्छ। र अर्को केस आउँछ गुगल, सुन्दर पिचाईलाई नै ल्याइदिन्छ टिचरले र डिस्कसन गराइदिन्छ गुगल अहिले कुन फेजमा छ, कहाँ भयो र अहिले के फेस गरिरहेछ, पास्टमा के थियो गुगल अहिले के थियो भनेर डिस्कसन गराइन्छ। कहिले प्रोफेसरले क्लासमा, त्यही क्लासमा गर्दा गर्दै अर्को आउँछ एलन मस्कलाई ल्याइदिन्छ टेस्ला। एलन मस्कको केस आउँछ, टेस्लाको नै एलन मस्क नै आइदिन्छ क्लासमा। त्यो लेभलको पहिले प्रोफेसरहरू चाहियो नेपालमा क्वालिटी दिनको लागि। किन उनीहरू आयो? किनभने त्यो प्रोफेसरले उसको अलिबाबाको केस लेखेको छ, एलन मस्कको केस लेखेको छ, गुगलको केस लेखेको छ, उसको त्यो कनेक्सन छ। त्यो कनेक्सन आफ्नो केस लेख्नेलाई त डेफिनेटली उसले टाइम दिइहाल्छ, त्यो उसको रिलेसन छ, त्यो उसको लेभल छ। त्यसैले मेन चिज भनेको न कोर्स हो न प्यारागोगीको मेन चिज भने प्रोफेसर हो। राम्रो प्रोफेसर भयो भनेदेखि चौरीमा टेन्ट राखेर पढाए पनि हुन्छ, हाइफाई चिज केही पनि चाहिँदैन। एउटा कुरो त्यो। अर्को कुरा किन कुरा के आयो भनेदेखि महेन्द्र सरले भन्नुभयो विभिन्न विश्वविद्यालयको विभिन्न कोर्सहरू चलाइएको छ, कसले क्वालिटी मेन्टेन गरिरहेको छ, के भइरहेको छ भनेर भन्नुभयो। त्यसमा पनि मेरो क्वेसन छ, किनकि आई स्टार्टेड विथ द लोकल युनिभर्सिटी, देन ड्रप द्याट प्रोग्राम एन्ड जोइन द थाई युनिभर्सिटी। है थाईको पनि सरले डाउन लिनुभएको थियो। फरक के पऱ्यो भने पहिले मैले कोर्स चलाउँदाखेरि सिम्पली एउटा युनिभर्सिटी एप्लिकेसन दियो भने 1 पेजको चिठी दिन्थ्यो, त्यसले पुग्थ्यो। पढाए पनि हुन्थ्यो, नपढाए पनि हुन्थ्यो, उसले लिने 3 घन्टाको जाँचमा विद्यार्थीलाई पढाइदिए पुग्थ्यो, रिजल्ट निकालिदिन्थ्यो। अहिले शिक्षा मन्त्रालयले एप्रुभल दिन्छ, एभ्री इयर शिक्षा मन्त्रालयको अडिट आउँछ, एभ्री इयर इक्विभ्यालेन्स ल्याएछ दिल्ली सरको मान्छे आएर एक हेर्नुहुन्छ के प्राइस भनेर। द्याट इज द डिफरेन्स बिट्विन बिङ विथ लोकल युनिभर्सिटी एन्ड द फरेन युनिभर्सिटी। वी आर मोर रेगुलेटेड, मोर कन्ट्रोल एन्ड मोर क्वालिटी कन्सियस। किनभने त्यसरी चेक आउँछ। पहिले आउँदैन थियो, युनिभर्सिटीलाई टाइममा एप्लिकेसनको पैसा र एक्जामिनेसनको फिस बुझाइदिए पुग्थ्यो। अब क्वालिटीको कुरा आयो, पहिलेको युनिभर्सिटीमा के थियो भने कोर्स सबै हामीले बनाएको हुन्थ्यो, उसले जाँच लिन्थ्यो। त्यो एउटा कोर्स चेन्ज गर्न सरले भन्यो 10 वर्ष लाग्छ एउटा कोर्स चेन्ज गर्न भनेर। एउटा कोर्समा एउटा किताब हुन्थ्यो 7th एडिसन, पढाइरहेको हुन्छ, बजारमा 10th एडिसन आइसक्यो, किताब पाइँदैन, युनिभर्सिटीले मरे चेन्ज गर्दैन। अनि स्टुडेन्टलाई त्यही 7thबाटै क्वेसन आउँछ। 7thको 10thको किताब हुँदाहुँदै 7thको किताब फोटोकपी गरेर बाँडेर पनि पढाइयो त्यो लोकल युनिभर्सिटीसँग। अनि तपाईँ कसरी क्वालिटीको कुरा गर्न सकिन्छ, एउटा पक्ष त्यो हो। त्यसैले के छ भनेदेखि जबसम्म हाम्रो प्रोफेसरहरूले नेपाल र नेपालीको इन्डस्ट्रीहरूको रिलिभेन्ट हुने कन्टेन्ट र टाइअप गरिदिनु हुन्न, तबसम्म क्वालिटी हुँदैन। त्यो नेपालको युनिभर्सिटीको कोर्स चलाओस् अथवा बाहिरको युनिभर्सिटीको कोर्स चलाओस्। त्यति भन्नको लागि मलाई सकसक लागेर मैले यो क्वेसन को लागि मेरो क्लेरिफिकेसन दिनको लागि म आएको, त्यति हो।
Thank you, Vishnu sir. I think case based, more Nepal based को case.
तपाईको प्रश्नको लागि धन्यवाद। सरले पनि मलाई आरोप लगाउनु भयो। मैले सुरुमै भनेको थिएँ हामीले कुलमान घिसिङ र सिइओहरू धेरै बनायौँ, मैले यहाँ नबनाएको भनेको कुरै गरेको छु। र अहिले उहाँले उठाउनु भएको प्रश्नको जवाबतिर म आकर्षित भएँ। यो मेरो सबै अनुभवको आधारमा मलाई कुनैसँग आग्रह पूर्वाग्रह बिना गर्दैछु म। फेरि प्लिज किप द्याट इन माइन्ड। भर्खर यहाँले जे भन्नुभएको थियो नि, त्यो विषय जस्तो राम्रो मैले अहिले पढाइरहेको विषय त्यही। मैले जहिले पनि कुरा गर्दाखेरि नेपालको कन्टेक्स्टमै कुरा गर्नु। तपाईँले भन्नुभएको डेफिनेटली प्रोफेसर हो। एउटा कुरा म तपाईँले प्रश्न गर्न चाहन्छु, प्रोफेसर र लेक्चररमा फरक के छ ल भन्नुहोस् त मलाई। वाट इज द डिफरेन्स बिट्विन ए प्रोफेसर एन्ड ए लेक्चरर? प्रोफेसर भनेको स्पेसलाइज्ड व्यक्ति हो संसारभरि, लेक्चरर भनेको सबै विषय पढाउने हो। प्रोफेसरको तहमा पुगेपछि ऊ स्पेसलाइज हुन्छ अनि त्यो विषयसँग मात्रै उसको ध्यान बढी हुन्छ। अनि उहाँले यहाँ विभिन्न विश्वविद्यालयहरूको कुरा गर्नुभयो, त्यसको बारेमा मलाई राम्ररी थाहा छ, म अहिले भन्न चाहन्न त्यो बारे। मैले भने यहाँ अमेरिकन युनिभर्सिटीसँग पनि म टाइअपमा छु, ब्रिटिसवालासँग पनि टाइअपमा छु, थाइल्यान्डवालासँग पनि छु र मलेसियनवाला पनि सँग पनि म छु। यहाँ कस्तो खालको पढाइ हुन्छ मलाई राम्ररी थाहा छ, म भन्न चाहन्छु। यो सत्यताले हामीले स्वीकार गरौँ। तपाईँका मोनिटरिङहरू आउँछ, यो आउँछ, ऊ आउँछ, सबै आउँछ, मलाई थाहा छ यो। तर पढाइ कस्तो हुन्छ त्यो पनि मलाई थाहा छ। अघि उहाँले भन्नुभएको जस्तो फिस तिर्नु सिद्धियो, तपाईँ क्लासमा आउनुहोस् नआउनुहोस् मतलब छैन। हामी कहाँ स्याटरडे एमबिए छ, फुर्सदिलो एमबिए छ, विकेन्ड एमबिए छ, अनि तपाईँ क्वालिटी खोज्नुहुन्छ फेरि। टियुको जस्तो क्रासवाला पनि छ, फेरि केयुको जस्तो पनि छ। कति थरीको एमबिए छ यहाँ, खै त हामीले आत्मसात गरेको त्यो। सत्यतालाई स्वीकारौँ न। मैले सत्यतालाई पो लगाऊ भनेको। यहाँ कुनै चिज गर्नु छैन, हामी सबै नेपाली हो। यो सत्यतालाई हामीले स्वीकार्नै पर्छ। त्यस कारणले म त झन् विदेश इन्भाइरोमेन्ट पढाउने मान्छेले म त डेली रूपमा नेपाल बाहेक केही पढाउँदै हो। हिजो मात्रै हामी कहाँ 5वटा इन्डस्ट्रीहरू विराटनगरमा बन्द भए। द्याट इज हाउ आई स्टार्ट। बन्द किन भए? द्याट इज हाउ आई स्टार्ट। 5वटा वायर इन्डस्ट्रीलाई के भयो? हाम्रो त्यो सेनिटरी प्याडवालाहरू कहाँ बेपत्ता भयो? डन्डीवालाले के भयो? चाउचाउवालाले के भयो? दिस इज हाउ आई एक्चुअली रन द क्लास। म कहिले पनि विदेशीको त्यो कल्पना ल्याएर राख्न चाहन्न। किन? अघि नै भने डन्डी किन सफल भयो, सिमेन्ट किन सफल भयो, चाउचाउ किन सफल भयो? दिज आर द इन्डस्ट्रिज वी आर रनिङ हियर। म्यारिएट किन सफल भयो, ट्रेडिसन किन सफल भयो? यो पो हामीले हाम्रो विद्यार्थीले सिकाउनु पर्यो। दिस इज वाट आई एम सेइङ। फरेनको केस पढाउनु त ठिकै हो, त्यहाँ कन्सेप्ट छ, थ्योरी छ, मोडल छ, त्यो सबै छ। द ओन्ली थिङ इज द्याट क्यान वी कन्टेक्चुअलाइज इन नेपालीज केस? द्याट इज द क्वेसन वी सुड आस्क आवरसेल्फ। थ्याङ्क यू भेरी मच।
So I think
थोरै सानो रिमार्क्स यसमा धेरै छैन। सरले उठाउनु भएको कुरामा मेरो चाहिँ त्यति ठुलो चाहिँ अब्जेक्सन छैन सर। फ्याकल्टी डेभलपमेन्ट सबभन्दा ठुलो कुरा हो। मैले एउटा आधिकारिक अथोरिटी भएको हिसाबले मैले स्वीकार्नु पनि पर्छ यो कुरा। वास्तवमा 4वटा पिलर भन्छौँ हामीले। एउटा त स्टुडेन्ट नै हो सर, त्यसपछि अर्को चाहिँ करिकुलम हो, अर्को पेडागोजी हो, र अर्को इभ्यालुएसन हो। यो नहुने कुरा हो, र त्यसलाई सपोर्ट गर्ने कसले हो भन्दा फ्याकल्टीले नै हो। नेपालमा हामीले यो भएको समस्या पनि हो। एकदमै यसलाई चाहिँ आत्मसात गर्नुपर्छ। सरले जुन लेभलको हामीले अब अमेरिकाको वा बाहिरको हामी कुरा गरेका हौँला, त्यो लेभलकै फ्याकल्टी अब हामी कहाँ चाहिँ छ कि छैन, अथवा भएको फ्याकल्टीहरूले कति मेहनत गर्नुभएको छ, यो एउटा मेजर पार्ट हो। हामी कहाँ फ्याकल्टी नै छैन, त्यस कारण फ्याकल्टी नभएको कारणले हामी केही गर्न सक्दैनौँ भन्ने कि भएको फ्याकल्टीहरूलाई फ्याकल्टी डेभलपमेन्टमा लाउने, यो महत्त्वपूर्ण कुरा हो। सरले निकै राम्रो गरेँ भन्नुभयो, तर सर्कमा पनि फ्याकल्टी त यहीँकै फ्याकल्टी हो। हामी देखिरहेका छौँ कहाँबाट कुन कुन फ्याकल्टीले सर्कमा पढाएको छ। म त आफैले अब्जर्भ पनि गरिरहेको छु। त्यसले गर्दाखेरि मैले बारम्बार के सुरुदेखि नै के अनुरोध गर्न खोजेको भने, यो हामी छैन र हुँदैन भने नकारात्मक कुराबाट चाहिँ सुरु नगरौँ प्लिज। हामी कहाँ पनि छ, भएरै सुरु भएको र अझै यसलाई चाहिँ अगाडि जाउँ भन्ने कुरा हो। विदेशी विश्वविद्यालय सञ्चालन गरेको मध्येमा सरको कलेजलाई मेरो अनुभवमा पनि सरले राम्रै सञ्चालन गर्नुभएको छ। मैले सरलाई मास्टर्स चलाउनुहोस् भनेको थिएँ, सरको पनि कमी कमजोरी देखियो, मास्टर्समा चलाउन सक्दिनँ भन्नुभयो सरले। किन सर भनेको थिएँ मैले? फ्याकल्टीको कुरा गर्नुभएको थियो सरले, स्टुडेन्टको कुरा गर्नुभएको थियो सरले। तर यो समस्याभित्र पनि हामीले के हो भने समाधान र उपाय खोज्ने हो। अहिले विश्वविद्यालयले सरले भने जस्तो काम त्रिभुवन विश्वविद्यालय अथवा अनुवाद पनि भएको छ। अहिले अटोनोमी प्रोग्राम हामीले सञ्चालन गरिरहेका छौँ। लुम्बिनी वाणिज्यको साथीहरू यहीँ आउनु भएको छ, 5वटा अटोनोमस प्रोग्रामहरूले सञ्चालन गर्नुभएको छ। अरूले पनि गरे हेरौँ, मैले तारिफ गरेँ जस्तो लाग्छ। अटोनोमस प्रोग्राममा लुम्बिनी वाणिज्य क्याम्पसले राम्रो एउटा चाहिँ माइलस्टोन तयार गर्दैछ। यदि त्यही किसिमबाट चाहिँ कलेज अगाडि गयो भने भोलिको दिनमा आफैले कोर्स डेभलप गर्ने, आफैले पेडागोजी सेट गर्ने र आफैले इभ्यालुएसन गरेर एउटा राम्रो टिम युनिभर्सिटीमा जाने गरी उहाँले तयारी गर्नुभएको छ सर। यो पनि एउटा राम्रो पक्ष हो। हामीले यसलाई यसरी पनि हेरौँ। जहाँसम्म केसको कुराहरू अघि मैले राखिसकेको छु, त्यसमा धेरै म अगाडि जान चाहन्न। हामीले भएको, त्यही भएर मैले अघि भने नि ट्रेनिङ गर्न जरुरी छ, बाहिर फ्याकल्टीहरू पठाउन जरुरी छ, समयको आवश्यकता अनुसारका सिलेबसहरू हामीले बनाउँदैछौँ, त्यसअनुसारको ट्रेनिङ। सर 3200 फ्याकल्टीलाई हामीले यो वर्ष मात्रै ओरिएन्टेसन गरेका छौँ त्रिभुवन विश्वविद्यालयमा। त्यो गर्दै गएपछि आउँछ, चेन्ज आउँदै जान्छ। हिजो मैले भने नि अहिले केसको चाहिँ एनालाइसिसहरू गराउन सुरु गरेका छौँ, सिमुलेसनहरू टिचरलाई सिकाउन थालेका छौँ। सुरु कहाँबाट गर्ने भन्दा फ्याकल्टीबाट सुरु गर्दै स्टुडेन्टसम्म जान सक्यौँ भने मात्र हामीले देन ओन्ली एचिभ आवर इन्टिग्रेटेड गोल। थ्याङ्क यू भेरी मच।
Thank you, sir. So I think we've already crossed the line. So I will take up questions. I know there are a few more interesting questions that's coming up. But in the interest of time, we're going to cut it short. But any other question, we can always put up to the panelists later. Are we taking, or are we wrapping it up? So thank you very much. So I think at the end, I think the quick summary is that we are working towards the future for business education. We are getting there. We are not there yet, but we need to really work consistently to ensure that that happens.
Excuse me. Hello. एउटा अलिकति कन्फ्युजन भयो जस्तो लाग्यो। मोहन सरले अघि भन्नुभयो अमेरिकन ब्रिटिस होइन थाइल्यान्ड अथवा मलेसियन चाहिँ सरिन युनिभर्सिटीको प्रोग्रामहरू चलिरहेछ ती प्रोग्रामहरूमा कसले कसरी पढाउँछ के गर्छ भनेर सबैलाई एउटै बास्केटभित्र हालिदिनु भयो त्यसमा अलिकति क्ल्यारिटी आयो भने राम्रो हुन्थ्यो किनभने पैसा तिरेर डिग्री लिने गरी कसैले कलेज चलाइरहेछ भने त्यसलाई क्लियर गरिदिनुपर्छ अदरवाइज चाहिँ यो चाहिँ ब्लेम हुन्छ होइन म चाहिँ अमेरिकन युनिभर्सिटीको अफिलिएसनमा कलेज चलाउँछु प्रेसिडेन्सियल बिजनेस स्कुल हाम्रो प्रोग्राम एसिबिएसपी चाहिँ एक्रिडिटेसन हो ग्लोबल एक्रिडिटेसन छ अमेरिकन युनिभर्सिटीको कम्प्लायन्सेसहरू अथवा अमेरिकन युनिभर्सिटी कसरी पढाउँछन् भन्ने कुरा यहाँहरूले प्यानल डिस्कसनमा अघि भनि नै सक्नु भएको छ मैले त्यसमा थप कुरा भन्नै परेन होइन त्यही मोडालिटीमा हामीले पढाइ नै रहेछौँ अब डिन साहबहरू महेन्द्र सरहरू यहाँहरू आफै आएर पनि मैले चाहिँ पब्लिकली अपिल गर्छु अरू कसैलाई पनि हामी कहाँ आएर हाम्रो चाहिँ क्वालिटी कन्ट्रोल मेकानिजम टिचिङ लर्निङ होइन पेडागोजी होइन सिलेबसहरूको अरू डिटेल चाहिँ केही गर्न हेर्न मन लाग्छ भने हामी त्यो क्लियर गर्न चाहिँ तयार छौँ अटेन्डेन्स पोलिसी अरू केही चिज छ भने त्यसले गर्दा के नगरौँ भने कसैले मिस्टेक गरेछ भन्ने चिजलाई चाहिँ सोलो डोलो एउटा बास्केटभित्र हालेर चाहिँ पब्लिक फोरमहरूमा बोलिदिँदाखेरि त्यसले रङ मेसेज चाहिँ कन्भे गर्ने स्थिति बन्छ त्यही कुरालाई चाहिँ क्ल्यारिटी गर्नलाई मात्रै मैले अलिकति समय लिएको थ्याङ्क यू
हस् उहाँको पनि सुझावलाई मनन गर्दै हामी यो सेसन चाहिँ सम्भवतः उहाँले अन्त्य गर्नुहुन्छ होला अब समयको पनि पाबन्दी छ
Yes, in the interest of time, thanks for the questions and the comments that we can take it offline as well. So on the interest of time, we'll wrap up this session with the permission. So on that context, I'll pass it on the floor to you to have this.
Thank you so much. Thank you for a very, very thought-provoking conversation.